Hello, my name is Tiffany, and when I was growing up, my parents had a very large food supply in preparation for the rapture, which they told me may or may not happen during my lifetime. I was like, man, this is a lot of food to waste for something that might not happen. And they're like, no, but what about when we get snowed in winter? Or what if your dad lost his job? What if somebody else needed our help? And that answer planted the seed that blossomed into the prepper that you see before you today. Now, when I think of an apocalypse, I think of an apocalypse matrix, and there are two axes. One of them is on severity. How impactful is this disaster going to be? And that might be impact or also duration. Will it be over in a few days, months? Is this years or forever? There's also scope. Is this hurting me and mine, or is everyone in my neighborhood and network affected, but other people aren't? Or is everybody impacted by the same disaster? The thing about this matrix is that when you prepare for something that is global and major, you also happen to be preparing for anything that is less severe and more local. You all have the same needs over and over and over: food, water, health. You might end up with extra knives. And the thing is, you cannot prepare for every single disaster that might happen. So you should instead prepare for any disaster. We're at a tech conference, so I should make this relevant to tech. So an IT apocalypse matrix might take into consideration whether this impacts my laptop, all of my coworkers, all of my customers, or if everybody who offers the same services we do are impacted. Your CTO might ask you to prepare for Heartbleed 2.0, but really, most things need a logo because that's what we do today. You'll need to minimize your exposure. You'll need to roll out your patches. You'll need to communicate with the teams making the fix, your customers, and anybody else who's wants to know what this is. So how does one become a prepper? Well, you read a lot of dystopian fiction and you think of all the stuff that can go wrong, and then you make yourself a bug-out bag, which is really just a backpack that has 3 days worth of supplies. So if stuff hits the fan, you grab it and you're okay. How you might do this in IT is you would create an incident command system and then role play through that. What is an incident command system, you ask? Well, it turns out in the late 60s, firefighters in Arizona and California started analyzing the impacts of their efforts, and it turns out they were causing more property damage than they were preventing. And this was because they had different organizations that weren't communicating with each other, and even within an organization, they might not know what every individual member was doing. So they might be driving a fire towards a suburb without knowing because they weren't talking. So the two most important parts of the incident command is having an incident commander, a single person who is in charge of saying what everyone is going to be doing, and the person who's going to guarantee that everyone who needs to know this knows this. You'll want to role play at work. Grab your die. Someone's going to be the dungeon master and know what the root cause is. And so everyone's going to sit there, and it starts with, you get a page. What do? You want to make this as realistic and high stress as possible. If people's guts aren't wrenched and their palms aren't sweaty, you're not being realistic enough. The next stage of being a prepper after you've got your bug-out bag is preparing for longer things. So you might want to bug in and make sure that your house or a cache somewhere has supplies for several weeks or months or years. What this would look like from the incident command point of view is you would still continue to do your, I can slow down. You still want to do your role playing, but now you're going to introduce the chaos monkey, the simian army that we keep hearing over and over again. So you're playing your games and someone says, I'll restore from backups. And the dungeon master says, do it. Did anybody get a little heart palpitation? Do you really trust your tools that much? What this does is it really forces you to guarantee that your tools are reliable. And if you don't have faith in your tools, you're not going to have a good time. The next stage of a prepper is where you start getting into the fiddly bits. Like, is this going to be an airborne zombie, or is this going to be like a viral zombie or a bite zombie? You'll never really know. So you're really getting into theoretical things. I'm never going to be able to use my medicinal contraceptive herb garden because the pharmaceutical company is probably still going to be there. But it's fun to read about and learn and do and practice just for giggles. How this would work in IT is, I don't know, kernel hacking or something. Thank you. Bye.